Welcome to the Crossview Commons, a podcast focusing on the ministries, ministry partners, and the people of Crossview Church. My name is Mark Lanting, and it's my pleasure to share with you what God is doing in and through Crossview Church in DeKalb, Illinois. So today I'm happy to share this conversation that I had with Grace Miller about her testimony, her life, her plans on working with CRU in Michigan. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation. And today I am pleased to have Grace Miller join me. Hey, Grace.
Hi.
Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten to know each other a lot, and you've been here for a number of... How long have you been at Crossview now, do you figure?
I think my family's been attending, I think it was 7 years in February.
Yeah, so almost as long as Jeff has been our pastor. About the same, probably pretty close to that, right?
Yeah, when we came first, he was preaching, and so we've just always been him.
All right, really good. Well, I'm sorry about that and all that you've had to go through. Sorry, Jeff, if you're listening. But no, that's great. Well, we're having you on here today. We, meaning I, am having you on here today because we've gotten to know some of your background and plans, and you do have some big plans coming up serving with CRU, and I'm excited to get to that with you. In the meantime, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Anything goes, what are your hobbies? What's your family like? Tell us about Grace.
Yeah. I was thinking about this question. So I have lived in the area. I lived in Kirkland my entire life, so I've grown up here and was raised in the church, but I think this isn't just an advertisement for Crossview, but I don't think my faith became serious or I truly understood as much as I do before we started coming to Crossview. I was thinking about my hobbies and what I like to do, and I wondered if going to coffee shops counts as a hobby.
I think I enjoy that hobby too, but sure, yeah.
No, I like to read and anything kind of artistic, I guess I like to do, but a lot of times I find myself somewhere in a coffee shop working on something, trying new places, so that's kind of my go-to.
Yeah. Do you have kind of a creative side?
I'd like to think so, but I'm not sure. I like to write, and I like to try a little bit of everything. I've painted, drawn, all of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know that anything's good. But
a little bit of acting in the past, too, if I remember correctly.
That's true. Yeah. I did theater a lot.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, why don't you share some things about your faith journey? How did you come to know Christ, and what was that process like for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I accepted Christ at the age of 4. I was raised in a Christian household, and I knew, and it was important to me. And I remember, my mom's always said, I think I got out of the shower at the bath or something and was like, well, I just prayed to accept Jesus. So there you have it. But I always believed in God, and I always knew that he was my Savior, but he was never my priority or the first thing on my mind. And so as I went throughout school and middle school, high school, it definitely influenced my decisions. Everyone around me knew I believed in God, but I don't think I understood what it meant to be called to this higher standard of living, not until college. And so I think in college, that's when it changed. I think that's when I realized there is a different way to live life, a more meaningful way. I think I struggled a lot with purpose. I felt very purposeless my first year of college. I was a new environment, new people, a lot of transition, and I was totally overwhelmed and just felt like nothing really meant much to me. I don't know, I was kind of wandering. But then I was shown more about Christ and about what it looked like to live a life for him and the purpose that comes with that. And that was really pivotal in my relationship with him and realizing what a life of purpose with Christ looks like.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
we've all been called in different ways. And, I've been in church life my whole life, too. It's hard for me to pin down, well, what's the exact moment where everything changed? What we can say in those circumstances is Jesus has been with me all the way, right? And we can be confident in that relationship ongoing. Grace, you shared about how Crossview's been formative in your experience. And how would you, Kirkland's not close, right? You guys have a little bit of a commute to come to church, but that's true of several people. People choose Crossview for all kinds of reasons. But how would you share about your experience at Crossview as someone who doesn't know about our church?
I remember the first Sunday we came and tried out Crossview. We weren't sure where we were going to end up, but we came and both my parents and I had just filled our notebooks with pages and pages of notes. And I think it was my mom who had said it just felt like a refreshing drink. Like, it was just refreshing to be here.
Yeah.
And it was different than any other churches we had been to. I think it seemed very personal. And Jeff is very down to earth and very humble, but also very wise. But not only that, I think the community, especially in the past few years, has been very formative to who I am now, and the church body as a whole, and all the members just so welcoming. I truly feel like it's a church family, and now we've found our spot here, and that's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's similar to our story, too. We had been in a region for a long time where we didn't have connection. Yeah. We didn't have a church family. And we wanted one. We tried. Just wasn't happening. Yeah. But when we moved to this region and connected with Crossview, this was even under previous leadership and through some difficult changes. That family was already here, and they had already kind of laid the foundation for the DNA of the church. Yeah. And so we could see that, and we knew we were welcomed, and so that made all the difference.
I remember that first week I got invited to go sit up with, the youth, and they just took me right in. We're like, sure, here's a spot for you. Go ahead. And so that was really great.
Yeah. Well, along with Crossview, you've of course, come up and been through college, and you've been through some different kinds of experiences, but you've connected well with the ministry of CRU. Can you tell us a little bit about what CRU is and what your experience has been?
Yeah. So CRU is a campus ministry. It's international, actually. They have locations all over the world, but they, I believe, are on almost every major U.S. campus, and just work to win students over for Jesus Christ. Their slogan or mantra is win, build, send. And so they want to win people over for Christ, build them up in a relationship with him, and then send them out to be disciples who make disciples. I got involved with CRU the later half of my freshman year of college. I was just invited by a girl in my psychology class. And I didn't have a lot of free time at that point, and so I went a couple of times, but I knew by my sophomore year I wanted to make it more of a priority, and so I set aside the time to go to their Bible studies and their large groups, and just found a really cool community there. But they invited me to do one of their outreach events where they offered a picture survey for students, and they would have students come up and they'd ask them, which of these pictures best describes your life right now?
Okay.
And then transition into which of these pictures describes your relationship with God, or who you believe him to be, or what you want your relationship with him to be. And they invited me to help out with it. And so I came. I'd never done anything like that before, really. I knew that we were supposed to share our faith with other people, and I had tried previously, but it never felt supernatural. And so I went here, and they remembered that these girls came up to me and were like, hey, what is this? What are you doing? And I said, oh, it's a survey about life and spirituality. And they asked if they could take the survey. And I was like, are you sure? You don't have to. But I was just so surprised that people, college students specifically, would be willing to stop what they were doing and have a conversation about life and spirituality and what they believed.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a real turning point for me in my involvement with CRU and in my faith as a whole, because I had never understood. It was like it never occurred to me before that people would be eager to listen and talk about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing, I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of people really looking at what's happening in churches and movements. And your generation is actually pretty eager to talk about things like that.
Yeah.
They're kind of done with all the pretense of previous generations.
Yeah.
And there's a certain ripeness, readiness to say, yeah, I mean, spiritual is a word I want to get to know more about, right?
Yeah.
And it's no longer shunned. And people, I think, if I'm reading the cards right and hearing correctly, they're a little bit less evasive and wanting some clarity about things like purpose, right? Like you mentioned,
Yeah. So many people, I've been surprised so many times at how many students are willing to just share their lives with us, and we've just met them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find that a lot of students either have a lot of background with the church and have their own either positive or negative experiences, or a lot of students have never thought about these things at all. And that's just shocking to me. And so it's neat to be able to be one of the first people they discuss it with.
Excellent. Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, tell me, I mean, clearly you had good experiences with CRU and it's helped you find your way. What's drawing you into a life, or maybe this season, I should say, of ministry with CRU? What are you feeling is your motivation, or what's compelling you?
Yeah.
You could just say the Holy Spirit, and that would be fine.
Yeah, well, definitely that. But also, I think, my own experience is a major factor. I think it changed what college looked like. It changed what my life looked like. It was very influential and formative to have people come alongside me. I think also so many students are looking for something more, something more fulfilling, something that's going to last. And they're looking in the wrong places.
Yeah, right.
And so I just think it's so great to have that opportunity to be able to tell them. I also think, and this is the Holy Spirit, is that I didn't always want to go into missions or do ministry, but my heart has certainly changed towards it. After that first time realizing that people were eager to hear about the gospel, I remembered thinking to myself, if I could tell people about Jesus like this all the time, like, I just don't know why I would want to do anything else. And slowly, my other kind of interests or desires for maybe a career, what I want to do with my life, slowly started to kind of fade into the background. And this truly became what I wanted to do and what I was eager and passionate about. And so not only what do I want to help others find lasting fulfillment, it's fulfilling for me to do this.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of aligned with your personality, what I know of it, and just with the journey you've been on. What we didn't mention is you just wrapped up your 4 years at Moody Bible Institute. What degree did you get, and what is it that you've been thinking about these years?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't always at Moody, actually. I transferred a couple of times.
Yeah, that's all right,
Yeah, I had started out at Aurora University, and then I went to Northern for a bit, and I was actually studying English, English education, and I liked it. But as I said, some of those desires to do those things kinds of faded, and I knew that I wanted to go into ministry, but I didn't know what, and so I knew that Moody offered... they could just tell me as much about the Bible as I wanted to know.
Sure.
I had transferred there and did my last 2 years. And my degree is in biblical studies, which is honestly just a general overview of everything you could want to know about the Bible. So they did a great job at covering everything. But a lot of it was practical, too, of like, okay, what does our world look like now? And what does it look like as Christians believing what we believe in this doctrine and this theology, to live that out and share it with others and have it be compelling. And I think I'm going to take a lot of those lessons with me as I go into ministry.
Yeah, I would think there's a lot that will connect there and interconnect with you, and that's prepared you in ways that you might not even know just yet, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. truly.
Yeah. So as you look toward this next season with CRU, we know you're right now getting the word out and fundraising, but you already know where you're heading for CRU. As you said, they're an international ministry. So what location are you serving at and why, and what's unique about that location?
So I'm going to be serving on Central Michigan University's campus in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. I had requested to be placed there. I'm excited about their ministry. I love the staff that they have there already, and I have some community up there. This school is a 4-year school, and most students come and stay for all 4 years.
Okay.
They're not going home on the weekends, so that offers a greater amount of consistency.
Do you know generally what size community it is? Like how big of a university?
Yeah, they have about 16,000 students.
Okay, so it's about NIU size.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's a decent size, and I think there's just... Yeah, honestly, I think purposelessness would be a good way to describe it. Is just that there's a lot of wandering. A lot of students come there looking, their first time away from home, their first time, they're not going home on the weekends. They're there, they're looking for community, and I think community is offered in a lot of the wrong places, honestly.
Sure.
And so I think, one of the challenges there is working with students who have a background, who are being compelled by all of these worldly things, and walking with them as they decide that Christ is better and more worthy than any of those things.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So when a young person arrives at Central Michigan University, and maybe they're nominally Christian or they're Christian but very tempted to look in different directions, so a lot of young people might be. How do you point them in right directions, and perhaps have them come and join CRU? What mechanisms exist to help that happen?
Yeah. Well, for CRU specifically, I know in the first few weeks of school there's a lot of outreach. I've been involved with CRU at Northern, and they've done ice cream socials and different things to draw in students. They play volleyball, all of that stuff. But we offer different surveys or little contact cards they can fill out with their interests, and then we follow up with each person individually because CRU's goal is to make sure that 100% of the campus knows about CRU as an option, and knows about there is a place to explore religion and a relationship with Christ. And so the first few weeks look a lot like outreach, and then lots and lots of discipleship. Yeah. The goal is to just walk alongside students, to answer their questions, to be a friend, to offer extra resources for them when they have questions. I feel like just to be a companion to them because so many people try and go it alone. And that's not how we're called to live. In this better way of living, community is essential. And so that's one of the main things we want to offer for students on campus is a community.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got to share with a local CRU chapter once, and there was a vibrancy, and there was a sense of community and having fun with each other, right?
Yes.
People are looking for those kinds of groups for sure.
I go to a lot of CRU, we call them CRU weddings. People in CRU got married, and I always say that CRU people know how to throw a party.
Nice.
But it's fun, and it offers, I think a lot of students are surprised at the sense of community you can have without the influence of drugs or alcohol or any of these other worldly things. I think that, they come in and they're a little bit shocked that, this community exists. These people care about me without the influence of these other things.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that's some of the most compelling evangelism that I've seen happen is the evangelism that happens based on relationships that are established through friends, through the sense of community, because like you said, it's so broken in the world. While something might look like community, ultimately without Christ, something's going to be amiss, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
For sure. So that's good. I mean, it's good to have affinity groups and have connections and whatnot, but that can only go so far when we're talking about spiritual life, spiritual needs, deep longings, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you mentioned sense of purpose is so essential at the age of the students you're going to be working with, right?
Yeah. And I know, like, in the Bible, Paul, like, instructs the believers, like, how to live. And community is such a huge part of that. And building one another up. And it changes everything, truly.
Yeah, we're going through this series in First Thessalonians right now, and it's been really fun for me to see Paul interacting with a functional community. He gets this report from Timothy, hey, they're doing great. And Paul's like, oh, thank goodness. I was so concerned because we didn't have near the time we had hoped to have. Whereas when you go to 1 Corinthians, I was like, you have a community, but it's really messed up. You need to get it right. I'm going to come there, and it's not going to be fun if things aren't straightened out, right?
Yes, truly.
I've been comparing those in my head a little bit. It's good to see it when it functions and when it functions well. Tell me about the team that you're going to be working with. I mean, it's not just Grace going to be a CRU person. There's an existing team, and what kind of experience do they have? What kind of how have you been received into that team? What's that been like?
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I was drawn to Michigan's CRU is because I knew the staff already,
Oh,
and they
nice.
had been very intentional about reaching out to me and saying that they wanted me to join their team,
Awesome.
which was nice. And so there is a staff team there composed of several couples, actually, and the team leads have been working with Michigan CRU, I'm not sure how many years, but for quite a while. And then there'll be 5 interns this year, and I'm one of those.
Okay, so you're starting as an intern.
Yes,
All
yep.
right.
But I think the team is just very excited. I think it's a fun group, but they're eager to reach students, and I think they're eager for us interns who are coming on because we're a bit younger, we're freshly out of school, and so it's easier to relate to the students, to connect.
Yeah, you have a real
one-on-one.
ethos there. I was thinking about you just being a step or two ahead of the students you're going to be working with largely, right?
Yes,
Might be some grad students or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But on for the most part, you'll be saying, I've been through these 4 years. I kind of know what that's like, right?
Yeah. And I actually have been assigned a portion of campus, like a certain area. And I think that it's mostly comprised of sophomores and juniors. And so that's exciting because, I've done that already. I've been in their shoes, and that makes it a bit easier to walk along. But also relationally, they can relate to us. And so, I'm excited.
Yeah. How long does your internship with CRU last?
Well, right now I've committed to a 1-year internship.
Yay,
so it'll go from August to the end of July 2026.
Right.
But in February, they'll have us reevaluate, and I can join a second-year interning. I could join staff with them full-time, even though the internship will be full-time.
Okay. All right. So you're interning full-time in the coming year. In February, you get to make a decision. Do I come back and intern? Is there a staff opportunity at that point that you might think of?
Yeah, I believe so,
right.
yeah.
Or do another year of interning and see what doors may open at that time. Does that sound right?
Correct.
All right. Really cool. Grace, I'm wondering, as we're talking about this commitment, I know it comes with a cost. And, we shared a little bit before we started recording about my having to raise support in the past, and you're in that process right now. And so can you tell us what the needs are and what you're looking for? How can people come alongside and help you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, yes, it's definitely a process. And, I mean, it is so good to do this step because then once you get to campus, you have this entire team of supporters behind you. And all of these people who have said, not only will I support you financially, but I'm praying for you and the ministry. And so that's so exciting. But, yes, I have been working on raising support. At this moment, I'm about 25% funded for my goal. So
Yay. Okay.
I have
That's
2
a start.
goals. Yeah, it is a start. I have 2 goals. I have a monthly goal, which consists partially of my salary and then of ministry expenses, things like that. Also, like insurance. And then
all
I
those
have
life needs. Yeah.
Right. And then I have a one-time goal, and the one-time goal covers conference costs, things like spring break trips and summer mission trips, fall retreats, things like that.
Yeah, and just so people are clear, I mean, these are ministry events, right?
Yes,
They're not
they
just
are.
like,
No, this
I'm
is not a
going
vacation.
to whatever, because they have you doing evangelism and things like that
Yes.
at those events.
Right. So
right.
those are all ministry. And honestly, a large portion of why we raise these costs is because we want to offer these fall retreats and winter conferences and trips for students to do evangelism and learn how to share the gospel with others. We want to offer them at a lower cost for students so they can afford them. It would not be sustainable if we had them, at a higher price college students couldn't afford. And so that comes out of what we raise and support. And so that's why we have those one-time goals, is so we can better meet the needs of students.
Yeah, I know Jeff and Katie Mena have reached out to us a couple of times when they have the big retreats coming up. So we know a little bit about that. They're at a different Michigan university.
Correct. They're at Western.
Western, right. But doing very similar work that you'll be experiencing. And so, we're familiar. That's great. Well, let's say someone listening just now said, I really want to give and become a regular giver to Grace Miller at CRU. How can they do that?
That's a great question. Well, there are a couple ways. You could reach out to me.
Yeah.
But there is a way for you to go online to look up, I think it's give.cru.
Yeah.
You can type in my name, just Grace Miller, and my account should pop up. There'll be a picture in my
I saw
story.
your picture and everything. Yeah,
Yes,
so I did it when we were working with Global. Sure.
Yes, yeah. So it should be pretty easily accessible, and then you can set up an amount. You can schedule the donation for when you would like it to begin, and you can make it recurring and monthly or a one-time gift as well, and both ways work and go directly to my CRU account.
Right. Well, that's really exciting. Finally, how can we stay in touch with you and know about next steps and things like that? Are there ways that you're going to be communicating? What does that look like going forward?
Yeah. Well, I know specifically for CRU, they have us sending out monthly update letters.
Oh, yeah.
To any of our supporters in prayer financially, and then also to the church. And so those will be coming out hopefully in July or August.
Okay. Well, you'll be up on our Global Connection bulletin board because I put all of them up there so people can see, and we can make copies for you and things like that too. If there are one or two things you would say, I mean, we'll pray for your financial support and for your spiritual preparedness in this journey. Is there anything else we can be praying for you about as you move forward?
Yeah, I think, like we said, it's a process to support Raise. And it's not often talked about, like all of the challenges that come with it, relationally, emotionally. It's a lot, and obviously we know that the enemy does not want us to continue on and to pursue this because he wants to discourage at any point possible. And so I think just prayer for stamina, for perseverance to continue to trust that the Lord will provide to what he's called us to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. Having done it before, it is a process, but God will lead you in the right steps. And pray for your creativity too, in terms of, what does that look like when it's attached to fundraising and whatnot. So that's great. We're excited for you. We're so glad that you've come on to talk to us today. I hope it's been encouraging to you as well.
Yeah, it has been. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Grace. And what a nice conversation. Thank you for joining us. Services are on Sundays at 9 a.m. and 10:45 here at Crossview, and they're streaming online at those times too. For more information on Crossview, visit our website at crossviewefca.com.